Hello and welcome to the Tarkis Zone. Thank you for joining me. I'm going to be doing a segment of Around Vermont or happenings around Vermont. I live in this great state of Vermont, and I thought I'd kick this off with this news article that Channel 5 News has presented here. And I've always enjoyed Channel 5 News since I was a kid here in Vermont. I've always found them to be reliable. And, and really this is not, this is seems to be a hot topic here in my state right now. But if you agree legalization of marijuana or don't agree with it, really that's not what this is about. Basically, I found this little gem, and these Canadian men, has been accused of smuggling, or I imagine arrested, for smuggling 30 pounds of marijuana to Vermont. And yes, that's against the law federally and statewide because it's not legal to do that in Vermont. But you would think that the comments for this subject would be somewhat on the, okay, half of people, are like, these guys should go to jail, and you would think half the people would be like, what's the big deal? And I was thinking to myself, okay, I go read these comments, but I found the comments to be so hilarious that I had to do this video. Let's go read some of these things. So without getting into the bulk of the article, basically 2 men have been arrested. So here we go. So what? Medicine Vermonters go bust some heroin junkies, okay, and call it a day. Okay, all right, let's mitigate our resources towards heroin. Now, okay, we don't really have to talk about the balance between the two drugs, which one's more deadly than the other. That's not what this is about. So that person's got their opinion. And this one is, such bad boys laugh out loud. While they were screwing with these guys, a half a ton of heroin was smuggled into our state under people's noses, or smuggled in under their noses. Okay, again, people are like, okay, why don't we mitigate your efforts towards heroin? I mean, that seems to be what those people are talking about. Now, this person, you should be doing stories on why it should be legalized, how it can help opiate addicts get clean, how Vermonters are overwhelmingly for legalization, and finally, why the feds won't legalize marijuana, but it will legalize a dangerous synthetic THC. Okay. You would think by now we'd get somebody saying, I'm good that these guys were arrested. Let's keep on going. Man, well, meanwhile, Burlington is establishing a safe haven to shoot up. That's true. Okay, so that guy's got a valid. So everybody's pointing to heroin. Why aren't you going after this? Now, this is the one that I found was funny. This guy replies, Vermonters grow better pot. Buy local. It's like, wow, okay. Well, this is kind of nuts. Okay, let's keep on going. Who cares? Always making a big deal of marijuana. Meanwhile, you can go shoot up in Vermont with no consequences. Okay, another person pointing out that we have a heroin problem, but this is making news. Okay, valid point. What was the charge? Importing inferior commercial weed? Jeez. I mean, again, we haven't found anybody yet in the comments. I mean, think about it. I mean, nobody said, oh, I'm glad that these people were arrested for this. I'd rather have 30 pounds of pot than 30 pounds of heroin smuggled into our state. So again, you've got people that are like, okay, we should be putting effort into the heroin. And at this point, I'm thinking, okay, we are putting efforts into that. Law enforcement is. But when somebody's got 30 pounds of weed in their vehicle trying to get into America, okay, the reality is you're a dumbass for doing that. I mean, you're going to get caught. You're going to go to jail. And I understand the way we're thinking, but I mean, it's like having a crime done in front of you. You're going to pick them up and do what the right thing is. And that's what's happened here is these people got caught. They probably made the trip 100 times, and this is the one time they got caught. But I am sure that our law enforcement officers are trying to deal with the heroin problem. I want to put that out there. Okay, then you get somebody, oh no, the dreaded marijuana. When will they learn? I don't know. Maybe this is the first one that's kind of anti, I'm glad that they were arrested. When will they learn? Maybe, okay. Gone are the 70s when it was easy as hell to get across the border with it. Okay. I mean, that one got 2 thumbs up. I mean, that's the other thing you got to look about. Like this one. Vermonters grow better pot, buy local. 30 people like that. I mean, think about it. I mean, that's seems to be the gist here in Vermont. Now, let's keep on going. Another reason to get it legal, we wouldn't have to criminally import it from another country. So yeah, we wouldn't have to get it from another country if we made it legal because we would grow it here. Legalize it already, this person writes. Worried about the weed while people are ODing on heroin at traffic lights. Priorities are messed up. Again, the priorities I don't think are messed up here. I think these people just got caught coming across the border, plain and simple. I mean, that's just the reality of it, and they crime in front of them. The police are not going to say, look, take your 30 pounds and go home. You know, they're not going to do that. I mean, legalize it, this person says. Seize those plants. I don't know what that means. They weren't smuggling plants. I'm assuming they were smuggling the end product. So what? Just legalize it. Big deal. Concentrate more on heroin and opiates. Useless news from WPTC. I mean, I found it very funny, this one. And this one's putting out, like, I don't know if this was supposed to be a question. Personal use. Well, I don't know if 30 pounds of pot is personal use. Depends on who you are and how much you smoke. I guess there could be an argument that, yeah, I was just bringing it home so I wouldn't have to go to, I went to Canada to get it. I'm bringing it home 30 pounds at a time so I only have to make the trip once a year. You don't know that. You don't know people's circumstance. You don't know if these two guys are doctors trying to do the right thing, getting it to somebody who needs it. We don't know the circumstances, but we do know it is a federal crime. And especially trying to bring it across the border. I mean, there's all sorts of nonsense in that. And again, I'm not trying to, promote marijuana or disprove, say marijuana is bad. I'm just trying to say is there are laws, and if we're expecting other people to follow laws, we've got to arrest these people for doing this. So I just thought this was funny. I just, you would think about 10, 15 years ago, every single one of these comments were probably, oh, I'm glad they were arrested. We need to do more to stop this, blah, 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 blah. And it just seems like the argument or the conversation has shifted. In all these years, they've shifted to a point where, guys, the info's out. Who cares about this drug anymore? Because we do have more serious concerns, more serious problems. And the question being, is this a gateway drug? No. Scientifically proven, no. It's not a gateway drug. And the reality is it never was true. It was a propaganda thing that people talked about, saying if you smoke marijuana, you're going to do opiates and heroin and cocaine and whatever you went out and do. And I never saw the correlation of that in anything that I've ever looked at. But the problem we've got is we don't have any laws that allow us to study this product. So that's why I don't want to go to either side of the fence on this. Is the reality is our federal government won't research this. So if they actually put some money in the budget to actually research this, and if their argument was sound that this is dangerous after the research, then boom, rubber stamp it as dangerous and it should stay where it is. But the reality is the government don't want to put any research into this. So they have to take the word of those people who have used it over the years, all the way back to the Native Americans and all the way back to Rome. I mean, okay, we have history here with this plant, and this is where we are today. And the only scientific evidence that we can present today is this, what people are telling us. Well, that's not really scientific, right? So I would just say, okay, if we really want to move this to one side of the fence or the other, let's get some research done. Let's put some money into the government, and make this work. Instead of buying a $1 billion aircraft carrier, well, maybe let's do some studies on how this affects the people of the United States. I mean, I guess that's a wacky way of thinking, I guess, as a Vermonter. I mean, I don't care what people grow. I don't care what people do. I always come back down to the Ten Commandments. If it falls in the Ten Commandments, okay, you probably shouldn't be doing that. But outside of that, where should government end, right? I mean, if you're not harming anybody and your actions have no consequences to anybody else, and you're a grown adult, over 21, I guess that's what the standard is now, then I don't care what you do. As long as you pay taxes and do what you're supposed to be doing, and not harming anyone else, I don't care what you do. You're a grown adult. You make big boy, big girl decisions, put up the pants, big boy pants, big girl pants, and you're an adult. The government should not be having any say in what you do. Now, that could be argued either way, but that's just my personal opinion on the fact. Well, I wanted to again just put this together because I thought these comments were kind of funny. Well, thank you for joining me. This has been the Tarkis Zone.